What's up, y'all? Get at me, boy. What you see that? GRC got some bling bling from a Hexagon that I met on the feet. How's everybody doing? It's your boy Jim Crypto. This is Crypto in the Morning, and I hope everyone is doing absolutely fantastic today. I know I'm doing fantastic. Real quick, guys, let me get to. I only got a couple comments, so I'll get through them. P90, ching ching. David James, GRC, Sam, Biceps. What's good, David? Crypto Class, great to see you as always. Z, Monica Mofit Meals. Happy Hump Day. Thanks for the reminder. Martin Bednar. Great to see you in here, bro. Good picture, good profile picture. Guys, I posted the link to my tweet, which I just tweeted. If you could retweet sits, that would be lits. GRC is off the chain. Bugs. Everyone, share this out. Let everyone know, what are we talking about today? We're talking about a couple of different things today, but for the most part, we're talking about inflation, the macro environment, to see how keen we can get on this, because when the trend does reverse, I'll be really curious to see how close we were or how off we were, to see when we were thinking about, is it 10K Bitcoin Christmas? Is it going to be 4 months? Is it going to be there's been 45 bear markets in the last 100 years, and there's been 15 recessions or so. So Sam thinks recession. I'm still not smart enough to really understand all the nuance there yet, but we're learning at rapid speeds. And me and Sam have Sam and Bullish have a lot of crazy ideas about a lot of different shit. So just hold your horses. I invited Crypto Coffee on if he wants to come on here. He's probably asleep since he was born in Chicago. So if Bullish, if he pops on at any point, just let him in. He is the one I was kind of watching the video yesterday of the inflation. Guys, share this out. Hit the like button. Smash every single button. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm in a really good mood today. Sam's back in the office. I'm really excited. 1 minute, 9 seconds, DeFi proof. Shout out Biceps for DeFi proof in the chat.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stay. Got me some hedge and I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim ready sent me to show you the way.
DeFi proof. Yeah.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Sam, I want you to talk to everyone for a second while I grab my
No.
water. I hope you're doing great.
Yeah, yes, I am doing fantastic. I was just tweeting this out. If you guys haven't already taken a second, there's a little share button with an arrow. You just press that. Then there's a icon for Twitter there. You press that, and then you can tag me. Right? I just shared this. It is at Sam _ a dot or _ Stolt. That's kind of hard to say, but just tweet this out and let's get more information. Let's get more good information into people's hands. I'm glad that I'm back. I missed you guys, and I'm glad I'm here. Had an awesome day yesterday. Girlfriend is back. We have some good stuff to talk about today. We're going to be talking about inflation. We've got some interesting data to take a look at, and when you look at this stuff, you want to look at it multiple different angles, and then also try to layer your own thinking on top of that. We might get into some of the trends. I'm going to say quote trends on Twitter, because Hex really isn't trending on Twitter, but we're going to get into some of the semantics for that.
So you kind of noticed that with Bullet. I don't know shit about all that stuff, so I just hashtag send pictures, whatever. But from what I learned, it's more so was looking at a lot of that stuff too, and it's not necessarily trending in the world. It's just trending within your own ecosystem bubble on Twitter. But we'll look into that a little more.
Yes, and at the end, we might get into some Genius token if we have time, or we might do that in a different day. Or if you
Sam did some research on the Genius token. We all know how the Genius token guy feels about GRC, but you know me, I'm non-biased. I don't give a shit what that motherfucker thinks of me. If his shit's good, I'll look into it. But I did my research, but I'm not an authority yet in that arena. So I was just researching on my own, and I didn't like what I found personally.
It is very interesting token. It is,
that's not a good sign.
It's 2.0 type of hex kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then you're like, okay, cool. This stuff is well written. It seems like to be very well thought out. Tried to overcome some of the, perceived or thought about missteps that weren't in place for hex. But then you have to come back to adoption, right? What's going to create more adoption, right? So even if you have something, there's a guy out there who talks about awareness, right? Because awareness is currency. And if you have even a subpar product, like say for example, Windows, believed by a lot of people to be subpar to Apple OS, actually gained more market share because it had far more attention. So if you think of like the Genius token or any token versus some other token to contrast it against, you're like, adoption is the only thing that really matters, right? Assuming you have good set of, basics like a fixed supply, everything is up front, all of the is audited, liquidity, all this kind of stuff is checked, right? All the boxes are checked and everything's clear. You have a good foundation. And then you're like, okay, which one of these is going to get the most adoption, right? And that's what you kind of have to focus on to think about. So
there's so much nuance. There's so much nuance there with the adoption. Come on, Sam. You know how crazy it gets because there's just anyone can bring up another theory and you're like, fuck, you're right. You know what I mean? Every time I bring something up that feels concrete, someone else says something else that also feels concrete about adoption, because adoptions, people talk about dogs and stuff, and then people talk about software being immutable. Like they're in the same conversation. What a weird, like, you know what I mean though? Like Club Cats has an adoption theory as well, just like Hex does. But their one is pictures of kitties and other one is immutable software. It's pretty crazy, but you can advertise in bulk. Fortnite, I bring up those numbers every day. They blow my mind every time. All you're doing is buying fake digital skin for your fake digital warrior in 900 million transactions over $10 or something. I can't remember the time frame, but I was blown away.
Tremendous.
Like, no way. I was like, there's no way they marketed that this well. It's nothing. It has no real value other than entertainment.
But I see a transition taking place, right? Because we're at Wild West right now in crypto, where anybody can come out with any token that, even if it says it's a rug pull, like they're still going to be able to make money because there's that many stupid people out there in like crypto space who are just like, hey, we're going to rug pull, but we're going to rug pull at some point in the future. And we're not going to tell you when, but between now and then you can make money. And we're going to go through a big transition, I see, over the next decade where everybody's into crypto, but then the idea behind crypto is going to shift more towards utility, right? More towards
this is more so like, I know everything's a bubble, right? But you think this is a bubble on a bubble a little bit? Like
it's a fucking cash grab for all the clowns who want to steal people's money, because
all the popular
Wild West
models, all the popular fitness models want money, right? All the popular sexy girls that do sexy girl stuff online, they really do need money and they need profit, and they found a premium. I mean, they found a delta here. You can come over here directly with your people and sell them something that does not really exist. And it's really just a scam. And Richard Sam, you and Richard on this are like, you'd be like the biggest handshake in history, because the strongest handshake because Richard says the same thing and everyone says no. I'm not saying that I know what the future could be club cats. Literally, me and Sam don't know that. But what Sam is saying, he's hypothesizing, and I like where he's coming from with this. It makes a lot of sense. This is all new tech that's being wild. What's that show where all those guys in the middle of the desert, they just basically go around robbing everyone? It's like an anarchy. It's basically like that. You could just run around, do whatever you want real quick and get out without your reputation really taking a hit with a fat stack of free money that you can put in your bank account.
So what happens? We had a conversation with some of the dudes from Power City the other day, right? And they were trying to say like certain things can't be done because of this, that, and the other thing. And if you take it just a slight step back, right? We're talking about immutable code and trustless, right? And so if you take a step back, the point then, which is the same point today, is that using smart contracts to facilitate trust is going to eat into everything that is taking place today.
Oh because my God,
it already is. And if you are not necessarily creative enough, maybe the technical expertise isn't there yet, the resourcefulness isn't there yet, that is going to change things so that all these rug pulls, if you're a rug pull and you have these pieces in place and you don't implement smart contracts to remove the trust, bro, only stupid people are going to put money into your shit. Like, it's going to continue.
Sam, there's a reality where the marketing power is at bay, just like the banks. They basically just replicate the banks, where there's a trusted system that's so trusted by everyone other than like the few. Like they're just let's just say there's a big exchange in the middle of the crypto world but basically it's just a one-on-one USDC liquidity situation with the banks. I see that also happening.
Do you think that can happen in crypto where there's like people like us, but there's tens of thousands of people like us across the internet who are just going to be like, this is bullshit? Like I don't give a shit.
But I say everything's bull crap, but everyone still buys it. It doesn't matter. Like people buy everything. I don't know. I don't understand like the whole like where people draw the line. Like Celsius was clear. People were buying Celsius until the end. I know very, very smart men that bought Celsius. Very smart men that have way more money than me. Way more.
And now do you think that they're going to learn?
Yes, they ain't going to do that shit again.
And that information,
I fucking hope. I would assume they wouldn't do it again. Like I don't understand the human people's brains sometimes. Me and Sam, you don't either. Sometimes we get lost in our own conversations and we forget we're in our bubble sometimes. And me and Sam were like, oh wait, nobody cares about this shit we just talked about for 3 hours. And he's like, fuck. Like, we're like, it's great to discuss. It feels fun to discuss. But at the end of the day, is there someone with enough power to put enough marketing dollars into something where everyone that has 50% of the population that's in legacy finance right now just rolls with that? Obviously, that'll die over time as the people die, like literally.
The truth and information, like I think of the truth and information is if it's like an entity or a thing, it needs to be set free. It's like space. Right? There's far more space in your house than there is things in your house. And you're like, well, my house is full of shit. Yes, but if I'm sitting here, there's space all around me, which allows me to move my hand around. So information and truth is like space where it needs to be free to spread. And the more people that get scammed, the more like Billy Bob, 99% of crypto is a scam. Correct, right? I'm reading through the white papers. The vast majority of the shit sucks balls hardcore. Yes. Right. And as this information that needs to be set free, this truth needs to be set free. People realizing that counterparty risk in something like Celsius is not a good fucking idea. Right. More and more of that information is going to proliferate. That's just a fancy word to say like it's going to continue to expand. Right. If you proliferate two cells, they're going to separate and then they're going to have. You have one cell, now you have two, and then it's going to split, and you're going to have four, and then it's going to split again. You're going to
kind of create the narrative too. Like, I mean, there is a part of this that we are in finance. Like, this is finance. Like, I know some of the richest young men, not the richest older guys, but I know some of the richest guys under 30 for sure. I'm not saying they're the richest in the world, but geez Louise, these guys aren't working and they're doing fun stuff for for like buying shit and helping other people out, and they're 30 years old. Imagine when they're 60, and they're very good investors. We are legacy finance moving forward in a way.
Because this is the new standard.
Well, they're going to die. And we're going to be the guys. And then we're going to die. And they'll be like, they were playing around with that stupid hex shit. This thing gets 57 times more better inflation, and it's way quicker, and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, we'll be rich enough by then where we probably won't give a fuck. We'll just be like, hex is the best. Fuck off. Like, you know, because
like a lot of people in crypto.
Well, that's how incentives change. You can't be as amped up about us if you're not in the position that we're in crypto. Like we haven't made it in crypto. That's why everyone loves watching the show, because they're excited for us. Well, they're like, this is great. I already made it in crypto. I'll watch these guys make it in crypto. Literally, people say that to me all the time. They're like, you reinvigorate me, because when I already made it in crypto, and now I don't get a boner for it anymore. And you guys like youth me up a little bit. Like, and I had, I talked to you about that guy I met, and like, he was
do you want to talk
nah,
about
he doesn't. I don't want to talk too much about that, just because he's a very private person.
But you're right, because you get complacent at a certain point.
I do. I went on a bodybuilding rampage for 3 years that was so hardcore that I think I didn't care about lifting for like 4 months. Granted, I lifted the whole 4 months, but I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I went too hard. I spent too much time in the gym. I don't spend nearly that amount of time in the gym anymore. Oh my God. I go to the gym for like an hour. I used to go to the gym for 3 hours a day. And I thought that like there was still meat on the bone. You know what I mean? Like, and I was 175 pounds, completely over my genetic like norm. And I was just like, I just burnt myself out.
Yeah.
And the same thing will happen to crypto. What did everyone tell me? Don't stream every day because you'll get burnt out. But what did I say? All I have to do is understand my dopamine system. I have to understand that if a doctor gives me 30 milligrams of Adderall to take every day, that will hurt my dopamine system. I will become a more unhappy person over a long period of time, and I will no longer be able to feel. And that's what happens to other people, Sam. They don't regulate their dopamine system. This is something bodybuilders understand inherently, because they can't. You have to have emotional energy when you're fucking starving to death. Like, so I understand very well some of those dopaminergic concepts. Why don't I take massive amounts of drugs every day? It makes me very efficient. There's a reason I do not do that, because it will fry my brain. I understand frying your brain with drugs. You can do everything in life, but if you overdo it to the point where you can't go back, sometimes there's like dopaminergic almost repercussions for that. Have you ever done that, Sam, where you're like, oh, you overdo everything, but have you ever overdid something to the point where you didn't enjoy it anymore? Maybe dating. Like, I remember dating, I did that. Like, I was
sleeping around, I guess, for a while, like for years and years and years. It was like,
but that's something with no value,
revolving
right?
door.
No
Very
value.
low value. Yeah. It's fun, but it's a low value.
So that prop, you kind of figure it out quick, because you're like, I'm making.
I mean, figuring it out quick takes 10 years. Yes.
You're like, no one's paying my bills. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing this for? When I was young, I thought this was the most important thing that ever happened to me. Like, if I could date a hot girl when I was young, I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever occurred. I could literally give a fucking rat's shit if I'm dating a super hot chick or not. She better be really, really nice. Like, and she better be just nice. I just like nice.
Yes. No, this is an interesting conversation.
So I like that conversation, though, because, Sam, I think if people learn how to protect their dopamine systems, they can live longer, healthier, happier lives. Well, how do I have such an intimate understanding of this? I was put on a drug that I was forced to take for 10 years, and I had no understanding of this. So I felt it. I know what it's like to be so depressed and have no idea why, while the people that you love are the ones giving you the shit. I understand it. I had to figure this all out myself. I had to tell my parents they were wrong. I had to tell my doctor that he was wrong. And I had to tell other people how to do these things properly. And I learned that I was the only one that could figure this shit out.
Yep.
For me, like, because no one was giving me the information that I needed. I needed that information about Adderall when I was 11 years old. I went to rehab 7 years later, 121 pounds, and I went to the doctor every 4 months, and he checked me off that list. Good to go, buddy.
But that what you're describing applies to. We've had this conversation kind of this morning to finances, because there's a lot of dudes who will get into, say, the financial mindset of like, this is the numbers they need to hit kind of thing in order to be successful and happy and fulfilled. And then you get there and realize that it is not the money that makes you happy. Like, how many times do you need to hear that, even though in a lot of people's minds it's not there? I'm slightly concerned about the next bear market or the bull market, because there's going to be fuckers who literally go from like barely anything to a large amount of money for them, relatively speaking, and they're going to be broken as fuck, like depression, because they're going to have so much, because they don't know how to deal with what you're describing relative to, you know what I mean? You have to be able to cope with these things.
You have to know what it's like to want to die for real. Like, not like kill yourself kind of shit, but like reality is so bad and you have no foresight of it being better that your brain kind of breaks. It kind of, you go into like a normal survival mode, which like humans were probably at more so for a long time. And it just teaches me, like, it just taught me, like, nobody knows shit. They all lie. Everyone lies about what they know. I know more about Adderall than every single doctor in my state. There's no chance. There's no chance, because I've actually done the research for hours and hours, because it was something that I was actually going to lose my life to. I was going to lose my life to Adderall. I did not know that your brain gets fried over time with dopamine receptors. No one taught me. No one taught me that my dopamine receptors had there is real depression coming for you if you take Adderall every day. Real depression. I want you to know your brain can't create happiness when your receptors don't work. And they don't work for a while. So I had to go to a rehab center while my doctor was still giving me this shit. And it's like, and it's just like, you just learn, right? That's how I learned about the pharmaceutical industry, which is how I learned about the financial industry, which is all a sham, right? You taught me about the pharmaceutical industry once I started asking, and it all made sense, right? You were like, it's clear as day, brother. They make money on X. You take Y, doctor, no care. And
yes. Same thing happens in finance too.
But that's where I ended up, right? I'm like, okay, if this is a sham, if I, my whole life, Sam, thought these doctors were 100 times smarter than me, and everyone told me that to be true as well. They're doctors, so something happens in their brain where God gives them extra stuff. Nope. They're fucking idiots.
Same as us.
Exactly. They're just, if they don't study, they don't.
It goes for lawyers and everything.
That they actually didn't know. Like, it wasn't like they were telling me something that they felt like was harmful to me, because that would make the system not work, because people do have morals. They don't fucking know. They're lied to in research literature. They actually believe in the research literature because they're probably good peoples. Guys like me don't believe research fucking literature.
I think somebody could build a massive, this is a slight tangent, but down that same road. I think there's two or potentially one business that could be a larger business, could be built on what we're talking about, and then also in the legal field. If you have to go hire a lawyer for something, it's not like you can go and be like, okay, well, I got to buy, 4,000 of these fucking mason jars. How much do they cost? Or it's not like, hey, I'm going to put a new bathroom in my house and I'm just going to go get this done. There's no like kind of framework to utilize on how much something costs to get you a comparison or to get an idea of pricing in the legal framework as well as in the medical industry. So somebody could build a large business by increasing that transparency in the medical field and in the legal field, because both of those fields are ambiguous to the users, and somebody could build a massive business on top of just increasing transparency in the medical field and in the legal field, because there's from a pricing standpoint, right? Yes, we need a lot more on the education standpoint instead of the propaganda side of things for the medical side of things. But the same thing happens in the legal front where there's specific vernacular, which is just verbiage used in the legal field and in the medical field that is utilized to hurt or steal or take money or influence and manipulate people in one direction versus the other direction.
Capitalism kind of forces capitalism forces it. And it's not that capitalism is bad, but it's bad in certain industries, right? Like when you're talking about research literature, Sam, there should be no bias there somehow, right? It should. That's the only thing. I'm not talking about you fucking doing like construction and stuff. I'm talking about like when it comes to like nuanced information with clinical studies, and there's people paying for it that want the study to be a certain way, but they don't. No one actually admits that.
Do you think that it is more of an issue, or the issue is that people believe research?
Well, of course,
no, right. Is it an issue?
Refer to?
Because people think
about Adderall when you're 12. You're fucking doctor.
Yep. Yes.
What the fuck else was I supposed to do? Everyone else didn't know shit. I had to wait 8 years for enough YouTube content to come out on Adderall from Leah Longevity and such other. Derek More Plates More Dates told me never to take it for a specific reason. He says he doesn't like the way it interacts with the dopamine receptor. It bothered him. He felt like he was going to have negative long-term effects. I was like, I'm blown away. I was blown away when I heard those words come out of his mouth. I was like, are you kidding me? This guy said that in the most roundabout, straightforward way. Not a big deal, not big deal. I'm like, someone could have told me that one time. One time. I don't like long-term negative effects. I never have. I'm not huge on that. I like long-term positive effects. So if someone says something is negligible over a long period of time, that's something I like more. And I found out that taking 5 milligrams of Adderall less than 3 times per week is negligible. Negligible, not necessarily no effect. Negligible for the average person. Anything over that, and you're playing with fire. I'm not playing with you either. You guys think this is a joke because everyone drinks and does Adderall all day long. You want to be depressed for the rest of your life like everyone fucking else? Because no one's happy. No one. There's like a handful of people, and you know what they do? They hide in their fucking houses. Because it's so much influence. You walk on the beach with your dogs, do stuff like that, but they don't hang out in public places with many people. Do you, Sam?
I do not.
Why?
Time.
Why don't you want to do that when you wake up in the morning? Because you like to do shit. Why don't you like to do that?
I enjoy being by myself too, but I love both pieces of it. Right?
No, you would love being around people if there was insightful conversations happening constantly.
You're right.
You would be the first motherfucker at the park if everyone was talking about dope ass shit with their animals and loved ones in an amazing way.
Yeah, no,
you would love that for an hour with your girl. You would, but that does not exist. It doesn't exist. You know that. You're not going anywhere to talk to anyone other than maybe like a friend at the gym or whatever. But like in public, the game is changing. I don't know my neighbors. I don't know those people by name. I don't know those people by name. I don't know those people by name. I don't know those people by name, and they don't know me by name. And I'm one of the most social people I know because that's just reality now. Ain't no one introducing anyone. Is that grown man going to come over here and introduce me to he better be friendly. He better not be dangerous. And like everything's so territorial now, Sam. And I'm worried that there's like, this could be normal, but at the same time, it's like, I met a dude yesterday. He's like, yeah, I'm only leaving like 10 minutes from my house. I was like, what? Like, you only go 10 minutes from your house to get a drink? Otherwise, I was like, and no offense to you if you're listening, but I was just thinking in my head, like, people are paranoid, dude. And they maybe have good reason to be. Maybe not necessarily on feet. Like, I don't think paranoid on feet, but like within the cyber world. Do you have reason to be paranoid?
I don't. But I also,
you see with all the ads and the pop-ups and shit.
Correct. But remember, we had this conversation, similar type of conversation yesterday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. And we're about to get into the inflation stuff in just.
I'm gonna let you talk for a second while I pee. Can you help me? What did I do today, guys? I'm so sorry. I ended up talking about the dopamine system. It's because I got this freaking thing around my neck now, and I feel like Al Capone or whatever. Is that what his name is? Al Capone?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever watched that movie. Like Godfather.
Everyone says I look like that some actor that's Italian that's in the Scarface movie. Fuck, I can't. Anyway, go ahead and let everyone switch us up a little bit, Sam. We're talking about inflation rates. We're talking about bear market. I want to know what you think about the macro after we look at some of this stuff.
It's interesting. I think anybody with, you have to be pretty dense to not think that there's something much bigger happening, and to understand inflation. I think a lot of people are like focused on the prices are going up, but it's not necessarily prices are going up. It's what the things of the prices are denominated in is actually becoming worth less. So everything, at least here in the United States, is denominated in USD. So what happens when you look at the ratio of, say, ETH to BTC or something like that, and ETH, say, is gain over some period of time, ETH gains value in proportion to BTC, right? ETH is becoming more expensive relative to BTC because it's gaining faster. Well, you have the same idea if you think of that as a ratio of prices in USD. Everything is denominated in USD. And then what happens when the government just has helicopter money and dumps money all over the place? Well, the dollar value goes down relative to everything you're purchasing. So everything looks more expensive from a dollar point of view. And that's effectively what we have going on with inflation, because the government is just printing money galore, and the US dollar is going down in value. And because of that ratio, remember, anything relative to something else, and in this case, we're thinking US dollars relative to whatever you're purchasing. Think of the example of BTC to ETH, right? ETH has gained value relative to BTC. At one point, towards when ETH first came out, it was like 20-1, right? You take one BTC, you can get 20 ETH. Now that ratio is closer to 10-1 or something like that, right? Well, not right now, right? It's $1,000 to, it's still 20-1 at this moment in time. But the ratio changes as it, like during the bull market, I'm sure that it'll be closer to 10-1. And that's because ETH has been gaining in value relative to BTC. You have the same thing going on. The price of shit is not changing. The stuff that it's denominated in is going down in value. And when we look at inflation, there's two parts of the government that tend to get involved. We have monetary policy and we have fiscal policy. Monetary policy, actually, I can pull this up in a I'll read through this real quick. How about that? How about them whiskers? Monetary policy and fiscal policy. So what do you think about the inflation, bro? Like, I think this is going to be a crazy, incredible
I don't know shit about inflation.
time.
This is the first time I've ever been a real adult during any of this. So I don't like, this is my first go around. So my parents were always kind of well off ish, like as far as I was concerned. I didn't know if there was, they always bought me like, if we were doing sports or whatever, like there was never an issue. So I never had felt the negative implications of inflation because my father was rather wealthy. So this would be the first time in history where I felt, because I had a more so steady job before this. So this is the first time I have felt any sort of inflation. And I'll tell you where I feel it the most: at the grocery store. I can't buy steaks like I used to at all. Dude, I used to buy 5 steaks a week, no issue. I'm not spending $50 for 5 steaks, bro. Like, dude, it used to be 20 for 4, the 4-pack of big fat guys, strip steaks. Now it's 40. I'm not paying for that. And it pisses me off. I love steak. But so I think inflation numbers are directly related to the interaction right now, the nightmare that is about to be the biggest financial transition in history. It's a nightmare.
You're right. We're going through this black hole, right? You know how a black hole like kind of sucks everything into it? Crypto is a black hole. And with crypto, you have blockchain and you have smart contracts. With blockchain and smart contracts, you can effectively suck in the vast majority of the world and solve a lot of problems with third parties involved, with trust involved, which is most transactions, right? Look at solving in an effective, efficient way the real estate, right? To do a real estate transaction costs you 6% or more to do a real estate transaction. So you get $1 million property. That's
it's
ridiculous for just
no. You can't sell your house. How about we just break it down to this? You can't sell your house. I cannot sell my house for cash. Period. Like, I mean, I could, but they would just take all my money.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Mm-hmm. So just know that the system is meant for it to be clunky, hard.
Third parties,
everyone else money but you. Everyone gets money but you. Everyone has their mouth open when you do a real estate thing. It's disgusting. And you can see it in real time. You have to send the money around. And they just tell you random shit. And you're like, I got to get this done. Fuck it. Like, and
all that can be solved. Go ahead.
Is that solvable, Sam? Help me.
It is 100% solvable. It is 100% solvable.
We're going to be so rich.
Yes. Because that's 100% solvable. That is a massive problem. That is a massive problem that can definitely be solved. The people, just everybody trying to get their hands in the pie. If you're trying to be like, hey Sam, we're at a bonfire and you're cold because it's at nighttime and we're there's a little sound there. We are outside and it's cold and you're like, hey, I want to be warm. Go closer to the fire. You can think of going closer to the fire to warm up as an analogy to money. If you see large flows of money, right, then you get closer to those flows of money. You can stick your hand in that pot. That's one of the things that happens in real estate. It also happens in many other areas of life that blockchain and the smart contract, right, NFT, right, is the term people generally associate with smart contracts, can solve these problems. They can solve these problems. Right, like we had about an hour-long discussion with the folks over at Power City about trust and smart contracts. Yeah, and I was like, bro, this is.
Well, we have to be honest. That's because that was a weird conversation. It wasn't a weird conversation because the Power City stuff is not cool as shit. It's very cool. Being able to change and do stuff and move around, all this stuff is very cool. It's very awesome, but it don't work. And no, I'm not saying their shit won't work. But I'm saying, like, it's proven to have a hard time in the negative downswings because people are going to take their money out of speculative assets when there's a bear market every fucking time. They're going to take it all out. All of it. That means fucking all of Celsius got taken out. And what happened? They froze it because they said, no, you cannot do this no more because you're doing what we should have known everyone would do. Use the bridge to get out. Even in Hex, what did everyone do in a bear market? Hex is built correctly, so it works, Sam. During that, why are we not worried? Because we watched it and it worked. Oh my God, we dropped 95% and it's functioning. T-shares are great. Buy more. It's still here. No negative, no downtime, blah, 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 blah. And while we watch everything else with any sort of counterparty risk crumble because there's greed involved. Greed and risk are unextrapolatable in people. I can't extrapolate the greed that I would have with $100 million. Motley did not know what it felt like to have whatever amount of money he has until he got there. And I guarantee he feels different now about some of his brain functioning, about the way he interacts with the world. A little bit, right? Like you can't extrapolate everything 100%. About a human brain. So I get worried that people, they make $100 million and things change in their brain, right? And correct. I don't want the founder of my projects to have lots of changes in his, you know what I mean? And we're not talking shit. We're talking about counterparty risk. That's it. We're not talking about anyone's shit other than counterparty risk.
So what happens? What happens during high inflation? Well, when you're a business owner, you are like, okay, prices are going up. You're like, okay, cool. Like prices can go up faster than my costs are going to go up. But what tends to happen during economic turmoil is there is a tremendous number of new businesses that are started. If you're not aware, I would bet, I don't have the data in front of me, but I would bet over the last 24 to 36 months, there's been more new businesses started than in the last 6 or 7 years combined, because people are tired of this shit. Sick and tired of
I'm
this.
tired of it. I was tired of it. And
Correct.
I didn't even know what I was doing, and I was tired of it. Like, I didn't know the ins and outs of this. I said, this is a bad deal. I don't care. The value prop was off, and I could feel it, and I was working every moment of every day. I still am. And I make less now, but the value prop is different now because I have a goal. But before, it was just like, you're going to make this. If you want to work more money, you're going to, I mean, it wasn't directly for like hour per hour, but it basically extrapolated to me selling more shit, right? Like, you got to sell more shit. You got to be talking. You got to be there. You got to be,
show up. You got to talk to more people. You need more attention.
I was owned by my customers, and I didn't have a boss really. I was owned by my customers. Owned. They owned me. Oh my God, my whole life was this, and everyone thought I was free. And I was, because I could drive around and listen to whatever I wanted and not talk to anyone. But when somebody called, I was their little bitch. Not everyone, and people know that sometimes, and they use that. And I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to be anyone's little bitch.
So what happens when people start a lot of new businesses, right? We've had so many new businesses.
That's explosive for the economy, right?
Because they do things differently, right? Because like, why are you starting a business? Because you're sick.
I could do what I want, and I know how to have more faster.
Exactly. So there's a lot of creativity, a lot of resourcefulness is going on. And to gauge, if you could gauge CPI, right, Consumer Price Index inflation, if you gauge that inflation over time, what if there was a gauge for the level of innovation, creativity, resourcefulness? There's not. But I would bet that if there's an inverse to inflation, and I think as inflation goes up, you also have a tremendous increase in innovation. If inflation's down, inflation
so you
is
think
low.
It just causes lull? Almost.
Yes, because now there's tons of businesses that were started in 2008, 9, and 10 when we had the financial supposed crisis, right? Like the same exact thing is taking place right now, where there's tons and tons of businesses that are going to be massive. Businesses are getting started. A lot of them are actually starting in Web3, right? A lot of these are businesses that are starting in Web3.
And that's what we're going to be doing. I mean, like, it's just the way things are. It's more of the way like me and Sam are going to do the most efficient thing possible for us to have the most money and provide the most value. Like, why would we try to not be the most efficient? That would be weird. What's the most efficient? Software, Web3, not leaving your desk. I was never at my desk. 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. I was at my desk, and I didn't even have a desk. I was just at my bed.
You didn't even have a computer. Like, you got to give people context. You didn't even have a computer.
Yeah,
like,
I had a phone, and when I quit my job, I had a computer. I got my computer when I needed Hex, because they told me I needed a computer. So that was day 501. And I was like, I can't have my phone, blah, blah, blah. This is stupid, blah, blah, blah. And now, obviously that was a rabbit hole that I went down, and now I'm here. And so the glory is mine.
So now, by the way, it's a nice thing you got sitting on the desk over there.
Yeah, he gave me this too, that guy.
Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. Okay, because it looked different, because it had a depth to it, and I was trying to gauge what the depth was. So that's kind of cool. So when you have macro level innovation happening, right? You have tens of thousands of businesses in this country started over the last 36 months. There's going to be, most of those businesses are going to fail, or the people are going to make, $30,000 to $60,000 a year. Not that that's bad. If you're happy, cool, fucking awesome, kudos, right? But some of those tens of thousands of businesses that are started over the last 36 months are going to turn out to be massive businesses. And all of them are thinking about things slightly differently. So you're bringing this giant wave of creativity and resourcefulness into the marketplace every time inflation spikes, right? So you have this big increase because the government is spending stupid amounts of money on BS, right? You're good on absolute BS. Then you have companies that want to be able to do things more effectively and efficiently to actually lower prices, right? You talk to a business owner and they understand that how they get paid is by providing value to the marketplace. So one of the ways that you can do that is by being cheaper, right? You can be faster. You can do things in a more innovative, creative way of doing things. And this is happening at a very macro level. I think we're in a, potentially like dark area storm, whatever you want to call it in terms of the words you like to use. But we're entering into a time that is going to see the largest economic expansion globally that the world has ever gone through because of what is taking place at
And
a
I don't even
macro
think
level.
it'll be a problem for guys like us. I just don't.
Oh no, this is gonna be super easy. It already is super easy.
So easy. It's so easy because providing value when no one else is from your house with the internet is super easy. If you do it, you have to do it. You have to provide value. So that's not the easy part, but the doing it part is easy. You just turn the computer on and start streaming and call it crypto in the morning and then talk every day about it. It's nothing complicated here. Like, it's not, y'all can think whatever you want about opportunity in this world. You create the opportunity in this world. You are the opportunity in this world. And I figured that out a couple years ago. And ever since, it's just been glory. Literally. Other than obviously my finances aren't where I want them to be yet, but I'm 28 years old. I think that's pretty normal. And I got a lot of stuff I want to do. When I get money, I like to buy a computer. I'd like to buy stuff. So, it's just you create what you want. I created the narrative that I wanted. I wanted to be a YouTuber for crypto. And instead of asking everyone and crying about it, I just did it myself. Instead of being, okay, let me blah, 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 blah. No, I just do it. It's not hard. That was only 100 days ago, guys. It was easy. It was easy. Literally, it was fun.
No, it is. It is. I definitely enjoy it.
I like this here.
This is Google Trends. We've talked about it many times. They track search volume of Google, so it's called web here. Search volume, right? There's like 1 billion searches a day. The reason you know of Google is because it's valuable information.
Very valuable.
To understand people's intent when they search for something. What do you think happens? So look at this clear trend. This is inflation globally. This is a clear trend. This is over the last 5 years. This is up and to the right. This is bullish for inflation. Very bullish for inflation.
But I mean, I think it's safe to say a top will be here within a year. An inflation top, right? Like a local inflation top. Not obviously a forever inflation top. They'll top that easy money 4 years from now. No issue. We'll be 12.8%, 15%. No issue. No issue, because you're getting robbed and they're getting robbed by crypto now. And crypto is automatically robbing them.
Do you think inflation, right? Because I know it's not your
Sam, break this down for GRC. And then he pulled up this. And I'll pull you want to pull that up?
Let me see if I can find that.
I love when people post stuff like that and say, Sam, break this down. I like that. I like that. So remember, if anyone ever posts anything, me and Sam, we believe you guys have value within your brains. Trust me that. So if you guys send me info, I will take a look at it. I want to learn. I need to learn. Sam knows this. I milk him for what he knows. Sam does too. We milk this world for information because it's so much easier now too. This is incredible. Let's take a look at this. I'll read the top and then let's see consumer price index for all urban consumers. What does that mean when they say urban?
That is a good question. That I don't actually know. What is urban?
That's a very open-ended word.
Urban in relation to characteristics of a town, or city donating or relating to a popular dense music associated with Black performers. So it's not urban there.
Okay, so consumer price index for all urban consumers, purchasing power of the consumer dollar. I'm just going to average. This is like city
Yeah.
average. So what do we got here? Okay, whoa. Okay, hold on one second. Consumer price index for all urban consumers. So on the left, we have index 1982 to 1984. And that's within 100 and 0 to 100. And then on the other side, we have the shaded areas indicate U.S. recession. So the shaded areas, okay. So the shaded areas on that map right there, they indicate U.S. recession. So we were in a recession within the shaded areas. Remember when I brought up those 15 recessions?
Yep.
So let's look at the closest. Well, what do you think we can extrapolate from this?
Well, like this is, I think probably, I haven't actually looked at this, but I would think this is probably purchasing power of the dollar or something, that because there's not a lot of charts that just go down and to the right, except for the dollar.
Yeah, we all know a couple of them.
The purchasing power of the U.S. dollar, that's going to be going down and to the right. I would guess this is what this is. Consumer price index for all urban consumers, purchasing power of the consumer dollar. Yep.
Yeah, but again, Sam, this is bias. I'm going to call a little bullshit on this too, because so I'll bring up one stat and that'll change everyone's little mind about this. Every homeless person in my city has a cell phone.
Yeah, you know where that comes from though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying government probably funding, but but again, insanely interactive technologies are purchasable by everyone. Period. That was not who was purchasing the car in 40. That the average person was not. Now any dork can buy a car.
Yes.
So yes, but now everything's leveraged with the central banks, and it's all fucking bullshit helicopter money.
But I see. I could actually see a world where car ownership decreases drastically. Oh
my God, I wish I didn't fucking have one. I want it gone. I wish I lived in a city where I didn't have to. I could walk to the gym, and I would never. If I could walk to the gym in a grocery store, I would never buy a car. I would
because you don't need right. I have the Tesla, so it basically drives itself. Even just literally to the gym, which is 3 minutes from my house. Like I put it in autopilot, and the car stops at the stop sign, goes around corners, like stops at stop lights, stops if there's a car there, a person coming, a bike, all this kind of stuff. And you're like, okay, how does this play out? Right? You're like, this is going to be, everybody's going to be living in the world I'm living in probably 36 months. And then another 36 months after that, you're going to just press a button and the car is going to come pick you up. Nobody's going to want to actually purchase a car because you can get a ride. Imagine if Uber had a 10x decrease in price. Well,
it will.
What happens? Yes. What happens when you don't have to pay for gas? What happens when the car barely ever breaks down?
They'll incentivize every single person. They'll incentivize every single person with the car to be a part of Uber that fits a certain requirement, and they'll just basically make it automated, like literally to the point where you don't even have to fucking sign up. You just have to pass this like a verification, and then your car is just like liable for it, and then it'll be like 90% of the cars on the road will be Uber. Go to New York City. Tell me how many locals are driving around. No one. It's all service vehicles.
I never had a car when I was there. Yep.
They're all service vehicles. You can't drive in New York City, period. End of story. You cannot. I don't care. That's not driving. That is crawling. And it's, I mean, there's a lot of factors here, Sam, but what do you think about the point that I made, like on a short, just in general? Like, I know that our purchasing power is going down the shitter. I know the dollar's going to the shitter. I know all my friends and family are wrecked from inflation when they work too hard to be doing that. But at the end of the day, we all have, I don't make a lot of money, and I have access to a very, very nice lifestyle.
Well, here is an interesting thing to take a look at, right? So we're looking at the purchasing power. Remember how we were talking? You had just stepped away for a second, but people are like, prices are increasing, prices are increasing, prices are increasing. Prices are not really increasing. It's more so you got to shift the way you think about it. Is that you know how there's a ratio, right? Where you have something relative to something else. Well, that is what's happening here, where the dollar purchases less shit. And if you look at this, right? So this is from about 2020. Let's bring this up here a little bit further. Can you see this chart here, right? Does it look like there's a directional change right about here?
It looks like it goes
Does
down.
the slope of the line increase?
Very, very significantly.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
That's
Does
very
it look
significant? Yeah.
right? This is from 2015.
That's a rug pull.
This is exactly a rug pull. Let's go in a little bit closer.
Dude, the US dollar is literally a rug pull.
Correct.
Dude, it's a fucking rug pull. We're exit liquidity for everything they do because it's just helicopter money and they know it. And we all know it now too. Like, we know that, but like no one knows that. People don't understand how, and Jesus, it's
look at how much has changed in this chart. So in May of 2020, it went from this is a chart on the right here, indexed from 82 to equal 100. So it started at 40 in 2018, right? So this is a 4-year period of time. And it went all the way down to your purchase power being around 34.2. But you can clearly see the trend here is sharply down and to the right. Folks, you don't like your money to go down and to the right. It's much better if it goes up and to the right over time. Same thing with your earning potential. And this is just basically the preview of the dollar just being worth pennies, right?
Well, it's just
Argentina.
It'll be gone soon. So it's
correct. It's going to be gone. You're perfect.
Zero,
correct.
and
You're correct.
It's the same fucking thing. It's just on a bigger scale. It's all the same. It's basically Celsius. Just think of it as Celsius. The central banks are Celsius. Sell coin is the US dollar, and it's going to zero, and they're going to abandon it. It's just the same thing on a bigger scale that's harder to see because you trust those people. You trust that. And what do we always say, Sam? This is all about trust. We talked about that for a fucking hour with the Power City guys. And they knew what we were talking about, but of course they have a brand, and there's going to be centralized shit. So UB know that. That's okay. Some of it might be good, some of it might be bad, but just in general, like real-time heavy investors with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars would probably rather go to Bitcoin with small gains than Celsius and shit like this. But again, people will forget after the next market cycle again. And when we're popping off, this will all recreate itself. There'll be S coins everywhere. People will be selling random crap for too much money. And that's the top signal.
But we have this cool thing happening though. Right,
Mm-hmm.
because we're going to have regulations that come in to regulate crypto to a certain degree.
True.
The U.S. regulations are going to be like kind of the template that a lot of countries use to regulate crypto markets in their respective districts. And we talked about this. What does that do? It opens the floodgates. You've heard of the Hex Investment Trust, right?
Yes, we had him on.
And you've heard of the gray, who was that? Snetrix or something? Or what
RG3 and Kinetics, yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool. So the Hex Investment Trust, you've also heard of Grayscale, right? Do you know why these are set up?
Let me think. To extract funds from legacy finance that are already there.
Do you know why they has to set them up that way?
Because you can't do it. They don't let you move your money properly.
Correct. You're 100% correct.
Yeah, like it's pretty obvious. Like I don't even know these answers, but it's that obvious. Right?
There's laws in place in legacy that don't allow you to put your money in certain places if you're managing other people's money. So you set up these fucking ridiculous things called investment trusts to put your money into them, right? Which is right. If you
can't you do a self-custody to Roths?
Yes, I closed all my retirement accounts. I crowed my 401k. I don't.
Safe to say though, if you had a Roth and you were buying Hex with it, then you wouldn't have to pay as many taxes.
Well, the Roth is like the tax vehicles. That's like the structure you put money in, and then within it, any money you make is basically going to stay inside of the Roth. So so you don't.
But if you were going to make a long-term investment anyway and have to take it out, like a piece of it, would it be a horrible idea if it worked? I don't even know if you can do that.
Let me. So you could put, say, in many different structures, like a 401k, a Roth, a traditional IRA. Would you like to give me your money for 40 years?
No,
Why? You don't have to pay taxes if you give it to me.
because that's just there's too many variables, right?
Oh yeah, because you're fucking smart.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't putting your money into an IRA that locks your shit up for 40 years doesn't seem like
Full
a smart-
transparency. The day I quit my job, I nuked my Roth. So I was just thinking about in the future if there was any like special things I can do to, I'm learning so much about taxes at such a rapid pace that I probably will never have to pay a tax in my life because I'll just have businesses tied to but if you write off, you can write off crypto losses.
Correct.
And you can write off direct crypto bear market losses.
And there's crazy tax rules.
People don't do that though. People don't do that though. Like if you can nuke all your taxes by claiming your losses.
Yep. And there's other ways to do cool shit where you can get rid of copious amounts of taxes, like lots of
all legal.
Correct.
It's all very legal.
So in a 401k,
super legal.
In a 401k, in an IRA of a Roth or traditional, and then in Canada they have similar things. Hex 8 my 401k. Yeah. So I wouldn't put money into those vehicles because you tie your shit up and you don't have control over doing anything with it, including what you're allowed to. There's probably a roundabout way, which is like the Hex Investment Trust or things like Grayscale to get around certain the rules. But you can also just take your money out of there and set up a business to help you with your tax situation and to increase your top line, right? So that you don't have to deal with these kinds of things, right? Like, who benefits the most from the 401ks and IRAs?
Probably the middlemen and the banks.
Legacy, yes. If I'm a bank, let's set up a piece of legislation. How can we do this?
I would just screw everyone all day long. That's all I do for a living because it's too easy. They just make it way, way, way too easy. Real quick, just as a little switch up, there's a guy named Axis Alive. You probably aren't aware of him because you're not like super all up on Twitter with the names and shit. But like, so we're doing this crazy multi-stream, and he posted this, so I'm going to talk about it for a second. We are days away from broadcasting the most controversial plus enlightening material we have ever synthesized into one place. Humanity is becoming radial. I don't know what radial means, so this must be dope. Whales only, crypto curricula, gym rat, wave 3. We're going to be broadcasting. So whatever he's doing, I'm going to be using my channel to broadcast it as a separate thing because he wants to make this. He wants everyone to see whatever he's doing. This dude's crazy, bro. Like this dude studies like us and he's happy about life all the time. And he's inspirational. And I'm so excited that whatever he's talking, I haven't read into it yet, but I'm in the Telegram group. Sorry if I just disappointed whoever's in the Telegram group, but we're really excited to talk about that. Another little tidbit I want to mention before we move on is I will be doing it. I'm going to just invite Sam to this one and he can come or not. I'm going to be doing a double stream today. And the second stream is going to be a deep dive on a coin called Alpha Coin. So I'm going to do a lot of research on Alpha Coin. I'm going to present it to Sam and I'm going to have him, if he wants to, and I can do this by myself too. I'm going to stream again later today because I have a lot.
What time?
I don't know. I think like 6 would be ideal.
Okay, I might be able to do that.
Just let me know. And because I'm probably going to have someone else on too to talk about some stuff. So I'm going to do a double stream today, guys. And we're going to talk about I might save that for tomorrow, depending on this founder guy and I are DMing. So like, I kind of want to make this happen. And if I tell him it's happening today, maybe he'll do it. So,
well, maybe especially if the founder of this Alpha comes on,
I need
an interesting. That would be super interesting conversation. Like, to get.
But again, Sam, they sent me some information on the roadmaps, and I was reading it. And again, this has nothing to do with DeFi. Like literally. Like if you are just a Hex dude, like just ignore this. But I want to make this for me because I want to learn more about Web3. Because I'm an absolute gangster and I can do whatever I fucking want. Sorry. So,
and I'm gonna also have another second video out on Genesis, or the Genie token later today. Very interesting. They have two different ways to stake, which is different, and you earn two different returns. Interesting.
What are you have you invested anything into that?
I have not, and I did not sacrifice in it, and I don't know if I would, but I do like immutability, and I do
like the white paper you told me. So
It's-
again, guys, we're gonna be 100%. You know this show. No one can stop me. No one can stop Sam. I can't stop Sam. He would just do it somewhere else. So what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna stop him. He's helping. You know, like he's providing so much value. Like when he gets interested in something, like we have to let him go because he actually finds the truth in very critical detail, and he doesn't fall for the classic. Even if a white paper is really good, he's not stopping there. And that's why I trust Sam. Like he said, I like the white paper. I never was like, oh, he's going to go all in on this because he likes the white paper. He's going to do another 3-4 hours, send a video out, and have a really strong point about it. Y'all know how I feel about Genesis. Genius, it's called.
Oh, Genius.
Genius. It's the Jenny token. I think it's I think buying a pre-ICO token and having expectations of $3 per $1 on the other side is ignorant. I don't think it's right necessarily to have those expectations written on paper. And I don't, because the truth is, I don't know if Pulse Chains will ever exist. I'm just being honest.
Right.
It's not up to me. I'm talking about logic. I don't talk to the devs. I don't talk to Richard unless it's about something stupid, funny. Like I'm not the guy for that. So if you were to believe me about what you do with the Jenny token or Hex or anything, that would be stupid. But what I can do to you is present information. We've seen rug pull after rug pull after rug pull after rug pull, and I can critically relate these things now. Can't you too? Like it's easier too when you see a couple things fall.
That's why I'm like, oh, I like this Jenny white paper because I read so many white papers that are trash, like they're utter garbage, and you're like, oh, finally a white paper where they at least tried to take some effort in putting into the white paper to explain the white paper, to understand what is going on, versus these other white papers that are so ambiguous, they're not clear about anything. Or if you look on their website, it says one thing, and you look in their white paper, it says something different, right? I read one the other day. On their website, it says, we're going to distribute 100% of the profits. You're like, oh, okay, cool. It's because I like to look at their website, and I like to look at their white paper. And then I read through their white paper, and they're like, we're going to distribute 90% of our profits. I was like, okay, so which one is it? You're going to distribute 100%, or you're going to distribute 90%? And you read so much trash in terms of white papers. I'm reading through this Genesis token, or is it Genius token? Genius token. Thank you. And I'm going through
Technically, it's the pre-ICO Genius token right now. That's all it is.
I guess there was a Genius token that was already out there.
It's out there now.
That you get like a bonus. So you don't get, there's no $3 of it or anything. It's just like you get a bonus if you sacrifice that token specifically to try to remove the supply of it. But I haven't finished going through the whole white paper. It's 30 pages long. It's 27 pages long. So I'm on page probably like 14 or 15 of it or something. That reading through it.
What do you think about the AI technology? That's hard to kind of wrap your head around. It's kind of just buzzword.
Correct. It is 100% just buzzword.
Yeah.
It's just a smart contract.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, and that's what I was fucking talking about when I did the mini deep dive on it. I was like, I'm pretty much smarter than every random average dude that would read this white paper, and I know enough to know that you're talking some bullshit about this AI bullshit. It's not AI. That just means to me like something that they're doing that I don't know about. If it's not just a smart contract.
Yeah, so Motley says here, does the white paper explain the AI? So I'm probably around page 10 to 13 on a 30 pages through the white paper. I read through the site first. I read through all the site information, and then now I'm reading through the white paper. It doesn't say anything about the white paper other than it is just strictly for a buzzword for probably marketing purposes, and it's kind of just like hacks 2.0 type of thing where he's trying to change, it appears, a couple things.
He's also acting like if you watch his YouTube videos, he basically just like mock. It almost feels like he's like trolling.
In which way?
Like
I haven't watched any of his
pretending
videos.
to be Richard Hart. Like he literally he literally says the fucking same things he says. Just about his token. Like like word for word almost. And he says like he talks about like, he just acts like the motherfucker. And I really do think he might be fucking trolling. Like I swear to God. And the last thing I ever messaged that guy after he talked shit to me, said a bunch of shit, said I fucking said a bunch of lies about him. Post all the lies, dude. Post all the lies I said about you, and I'll post all the lies you said. How about that? How about if you post what I posted to you, I'll post what you did. Let's see which one hurts more.
On the positive side, though, I do think that there's a lot of people who believe Hex is special, right? A lot of people believe Hex, right? A lot of people believe that Hex, right? You're wearing a fucking shirt, you have shit on your desk. I'm wearing a fucking hat, right? It says Hex down below. There's a lot of people.
Dope ass marketing, so it's like fun to wear.
Oh yeah, and your necklace. Yeah. Okay, cool. Good point. Okay. There's a lot of people who think Hex is special. If you think Hex is special, then there's going to be a copy of Hex on every chain in some form, shape. Every single chain is going to have some version of Hex because that's what happens when you have good shit that comes onto the marketplace. What happens? Tesla comes out. They have the best electric vehicle in the marketplace globally, including better than Chinese.
I want one so bad.
What is everybody else doing? Trying to copy the best in the marketplace.
Does that work in your opinion?
No, definitely not.
Cool. I was just curious. Like, do you think some of these other companies? I'm just curious.
I have a Pixel phone, which is like the Google version of fucking Apple's phone. Not as good as an Apple phone. I'm not going to switch, but it's just not as good. My girlfriend has an iPhone. Her phone is better than mine.
Hey, our boy's in the chat. He loves the show, by the way, and he
does. Genius token.
Why don't you, Sam? This is what you should do. You should do a video with this guy separate from me. So you should go live on Sam's channel, because it'll be more. Sam does not give a literal rat's ass. Literally less than a rat's fucking ass. He cares about what anyone in this chat thinks about him. I don't even worry about that. I am a little different because I'm like a fucking pure blood fucking Mexican and I'm a little biased, but I think that would be a good video.
I would definitely do.
So Robert, Sam's going to DM you and then I'll watch that video too. And I'll just be in the comments chilling. Hey, teach me something, Rob. You're smarter than me. You are probably. I think you made a project. You know more shit about crypto than me, and I never tell. You know what I say? I never say I'm smarter than other motherfuckers. Do I say I'm ever? Because how could you ever say that? It's not fair. It doesn't make sense. That would make me a phony. Robert probably knows a lot about cryptocurrency, and I watched his videos, so I can confirm that. Really, and I don't. But and there's a lot of nuance that I don't understand about all this shit. I don't hate this motherfucker. But at the same time, I see people getting robbed all day fucking long. So, and I'm not mean to Robert, am I? No, not really. I did a video on his shit. He told me to do a video on the shit. I did invite him on and then kind of like declined to have him back on. But now I'm kind of reemerging that. But with the invitation being between kind of you two, because I think
I like to learn about crypto projects, and I think that Hex is designed well. And as I've mentioned, I think that the white paper so far, what I've read through for this Genie token, is actually very good white paper relative to the garbage that is out there. He does a good job of articulating it in the white paper, and I'm like, okay, this is good. And if you like. I think that Tesla has the premium.
What do you think about this?
You guys going to get people wrecked? Well, that's Motley's opinion. Motley's open for his own opinion.
But do you think in a more like?
I don't give a shit what any of you fuckers do with any of your money. But
I'm also saying, is it fair to say that just because someone does a video on something, you're critical when you do like you turn people off and. I'm sure Robert watches our shit because he likes us and he probably likes your style with that. So I think and Sam's not going to beat around the bush with Robert either. We don't know Robert. He does not know us. We're very I think mature would be the right way to put it. Like I don't.
If somebody wants to get wrecked, then they can get fucking wrecked. Like that has nothing to do with me. Like
I got wrecked.
I couldn't care less.
I got wrecked putting all my hex into a smart contract before I was ready. And
so in this token, there's actually a way to potentially get out of that beforehand. I haven't gotten through the whole thing, but there might be a way to actually change that slightly, and I'm sure Robert could highlight it more. But I'll do a separate video on it and can have
never buy something, guys. Ever.
Yes.
If you're buying something because someone's doing a video on it, you're going to get wrecked by someone anyway. So might as well get it over with. If that's what you really think. Like, I don't buy a lot of stuff. I don't pretend like I know a lot of stuff either. I don't pretend like I know what I don't know. I don't like that. I don't, but I do know some things about Genius. Like me and Sam were talking about it before here. I clearly knew like some of the tokenomics and some of the things that I didn't necessarily agree with, but the things that I don't agree with, I don't necessarily understand. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like me talking about my opinion, but like I'm always open for someone smarter than me to be like, hey, there's something missing here. Genius has no expectations. Motley, I disagree. It's immutable, no developer coin, no admin keys, etc., etc. Every argument against Genius is a stronger argument against Hex. Well, I don't think that's true either, because the OA has proven to be one of the best features of Hex, and a lot of people have a lot of trust in RH. So I would say that's more of a feature that you don't have, because people clearly don't trust you for whatever reason. In the chat, at least, I don't know you, bro. Like I just don't. I have to be non-biased. I have to be, or I won't be able to.
Correct.
Or I won't be succeed in this.
Correct.
What I want, and I have to read all the way through everything. And it's not about views. I don't think Genius Token's really the clicker for the views, to be quite clear. Like I think doing a Shibu Inu video would be way more. Why don't we do Dogecoin? There's nothing to do.
I've literally wanted to go through and do Dogecoin too, because I want to understand what like their shit was or their POV was on stuff like that, right? And if people watch the video and they buy that shit, then they should be wrecked, right? Like, don't make stupid decisions, guys. Like, just use the gray matter.
So I understand both points. 99% of crypto projects put people under, right? That's the truth. I don't care. We didn't name a project there. So
what do you support in crypto, right? You want something where there's no admin keys, right? Mm-hmm. That's something you want. You want something that's audited, right? Like whether it doesn't matter if it fucking acts, who gives a shit, right? You want to support things in crypto that do a good job at reducing third party and other potential players that are going to fuck shit up, right? Whether it's a developer having admin keys, they're not getting it audited, they're ambiguous about how the coins are going to be minted or this, that, and the other thing. So it doesn't matter to me what the project is if they're supporting the future of crypto with not having admin keys and reducing the risk to people involved. I see that as a good thing. Period. It doesn't matter whether I put money into it or not. I'm fucking happy.
Sam's super non-biased because he's really has not been in the crypto sphere for that long. So this time that he has is valuable. You know, it's very valuable. My time is valuable too. I'm not going to be non-biased forever. I'm probably not going to give a shit in 5 years because I'm going to be doing something else or like rich and just kind of focusing on whatever else project business that I'm doing at the time. Right now, I'm like in the infancy of my career where infancy of my YouTube career where I can like be as honest as possible with very little kickback because I'm not that popular yet. So, I mean, I might as well make these videos while I can. In the future, I'm going to be doing similar content. Everything's going to be as non-biased as I can, but I can't predict how I'm going to feel about doing non-biased content in 5 years. I might not want to do it anymore. It's stressful. But I love it right now. I love it.
Well, I think that's always like, that's just how I've always done content, right? Because it doesn't matter to me I don't care what other people think, right? Whether it's my girlfriend or my sister or my parents, right? I'm in this for me, right? And if you guys are not like
what everyone thought, we would have been sunk down a long time ago.
Yeah, and if you guys are living your life because you care what like other people think, like I highly recommend you to like maybe examine that, right? Because that's how a lot of people live their life. They live their life in the past. They live their life in the future, worrying about shit in the past, worrying about shit that's about to come into the future, or in the present moment, in somebody else's mind, giving a shit what somebody else thinks about how you live your life. I just think it's a foolish way to live life. I don't, care to.
And again, everyone cares about different stuff too. So like, and Motley might have some super intimate information that we just haven't extrapolated yet in our minds about some projects, and that's okay. You know what I mean? That's okay. We need to come to those conclusions on our own so we can successfully I can't just hear shit from other people and then say it to the next person. That's what most hexagons do, and it's stupid. They say, Richard called the top on the day, this, that, and the other shit. Doesn't matter what the real truth is. Like, no, Richard did not call the top on the day. He almost called the top on the day. So
Correct.
And I've been in the, and it's not the point. The point is not that specific argument. Who cares about that? The point is critical thinking does not exist anymore, and it's hard to facilitate because not everyone's in the position where they must, or they are in, let's say, are incentivized to. Me and Sam are incentivized to do non-biased content because we know it works in whatever, like what we're trying to do, right? We know other content works too, but we know for me and Sam to be long-term, and we want to be long-term providing real good content, we have to do things in a certain way that we've seen others do that create great businesses and YouTube channels, because we're not willing to sell out. There's only two ways to do this. You just sell out immediately and just double down on marketing, or you do things the right way. Derek, More Plates, More Dates, Leo Longevity, Vigorous Steve, Sam Stolt. I mention those guys every time because they're all the same. They still do the same thing. Whether the content's a little more algo friendly, that's up to them. But they do critical thinking, dense conversations about real topics that people really need help with. Leo Longevity saved my life, literally from death, because I was so depressed and I could not figure out why. And he told me exactly why.
Did you get that pig brain in yet?
No, I haven't fucked with that because I just, the weed
at
thing.
some point.
The weed thing. It's like the day I gotta stop smoking. But I am getting there. I am gonna get there, and that's not. I have to double down on my like creativity at this moment, so I might not think it's the best time to put my energy into switching it up, because I'm really right now. I feel great, right? Like I feel like I want every morning when I wake up, I feel inspired. I feel so inspired. I feel, and it has nothing to do with money. I wish it had something to do with money. It'd fucking help me out, for fuck's sake. I say half the time I don't think about money enough. Everyone that knows me knows that. I'm like, fuck this, that, and the other. Oh, I never move my money. Oh, all that money's still on YouTube. Oh, I'm like an old lady. I'm like, I haven't moved my stuff around.
Yes.
God, I never told you to do a video on Genius, GRC. You're not mean at all. You get the facts swapped and mixed up. And yeah, I love how your show is your journey. I'm majorly delayed on the stream. Thanks for that. Hey, Genius, you're another human man just like me. I would never disrespect you as a human because I do not know you. So, and I mention that all the time. I say that I would never truthfully disrespect someone. I can only talk about what I read. And, other people did send me a lot of shit too that kind of threw my bias off. So that's kind of why I got off the track on that, to be honest. I felt biased on it and I just couldn't go forward.
Well, I think this is probably a good time to start wrapping things up. I
lost track of time. That's a good sign.
Yes. Yeah. We're talking about inflation. The Genius token. I'm going to have a video later today, Robert. I'd love to do a separate video with you if you care to. Where we can dive into the details and ask questions about it. And if you guys want to check that out, there's going to be a link down below. You guys should also come over to Twitter. Say what's good over on Twitter. There's a link down below. And if you care to check out Instagram is also down below. Or for some cool research stuff, you can check down below. And lots of fitness related stuff.
I wanna just say I feel very like emotional a little bit today. And I just want to say, like, I have to do this journey the way that I have to do it. Okay. There is no one that can tell me what to really do. And I'm focused on doing non-biased content. and non-biased content is hard to do because you have to put yourself in a non-biased position, which basically means isolation and studying. Right, Sam?
Yes.
High estrogen GRC, literally. Literally. So
inside joke. People probably
just remember, guys, I'm doing this show every day. I have to be able to do it the way I want to do it, because that's the only way I can do things. I can't really mold. I can add stuff on, but I can't like change the way that I feel about the world. Like, and I want to learn the truth, and I want to be an authority in the space. So I got to go all the way in. And if people lose money because they're buying stuff that they don't know necessarily about, that's not my issue. I don't do that. I don't buy anything but Hex and Maxi. So you heard it here first. You heard it here, and USDC. You heard it here first. I don't buy Ethereum unless I need gas, I guess. And I do not buy Cult DAO, and I don't buy Alpha Token, and I don't buy any of these tokens because I don't necessarily think that they're worth as much as T-shares to me at this moment in time. So guys, remember that I'm trying to be as non-biased as I can. We're coming out with new content every day. We might have 2 more videos on today. Sam's going to have videos. I'm going to have videos where I'm going hard for the next like 4 or 5 days. I'm going to really stay up and study a lot, and I'm going to be excited to present all the information that I have. They're coming to your channel for knowledge. You know how many of them have seen now 4 copies, all death, and this guy is straight up robbing people. Hey, you know, Motley's saying what his piece. Like I'm not gonna.
It sounds biased to me, but it is.
But I mean, he's seen that reality play out many times. Maybe he has some insight. Again, Motley, thank you for sharing your insight. Like that is Motley doesn't like to say super controversial things if he doesn't need to. So that's a strong opinion of his, and I would love to talk to Motley more. I haven't talked to Motley in a couple of weeks, so to refresh, in a way, some perspectives for me, because Motley is a very successful investor. I mean, let's be clear, like, and he's helped more people in this community than probably anyone in like, you know, like on a personal level, including myself. Motley was the person that got me into Hex.
Nice.
Motley and DCC, but like there was some controversy over on DCC's channel, and Motley cleared it up for me on his channel by just being super passionate about all this stuff. But anyway, guys, I could go on all day. This is Crypto in the Morning. We're going to play the Hex in the Morning song for a little switch up. 2 minutes and 2 seconds, guys. Everyone smash the like. If you want to donate to the channel, follow all our stuff. It's all underneath. Hit the like and share. You know that's my favorite out of everything. Guys, we're coming at you live. I have a feeling one of us or both of us will be on later. So keep tuned in on Twitter. I'm going to be I'm jacked up like a spider monkey, guys. So let's get it.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Heart. Richard Heart.
Bought my Hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the Hex, he is mooning. Looking at wives they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pull chains out and get me a check. He's gas up and got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo.